Hi, I'm Daniela, and this is Jocelyn. Thanks for coming back to our channel.
In our last video, we talked about how to boost egg quality. And in this video, we're going to talk about how to love yourself through infertility.
Infertility can definitely affect your self-love, self-care, compassion for yourself. I'll speak for myself when I say I have definitely become heavier. I have more wrinkles, more gray hair, and now some surgery scars to add to it. All things I didn't quite expect would happen before I even have a baby. Self-love may seem like a really corny topic, and sometimes practicing self-love can feel really awkward.
But loving yourself through the battle with infertility is really the key to getting you through it.
We're going to talk with you today about 5 ways you can love yourself through this battle with infertility.
The first tip I want to share is the most meaningful to me because I didn't realize how correcting this seemingly small action would have a huge impact. Now, it's not like I haven't heard this advice before, but I've just brushed it off or didn't really get it in the past. And what I'm talking about is tip number 1, checking your negative self-talk.
I know this can be hard, especially if you're like me and you feel like your body is waging war against you. The fact that I can't do something that is deemed by society to be a woman's main function just feels like a big betrayal.
I think the hardest part of negative self-talk is finding that line between having disappointing thoughts and then that self-deprecating judgmental thought process, and becoming aware of when you're starting to be hard on yourself. I know for me, I don't even realize that I'm doing it half the time. I didn't catch on to how negative my self-talk was until Daniela actually brought it to my attention. The first step in checking your negative self-talk would be recognizing that you're doing it. From there, you can start comparing how you talk to yourself to how you would talk to your friends and loved ones. This was a huge thing for me. If I found myself saying, oh my God, I would never talk to my daughter that way, then I felt like I shouldn't be talking to myself that way either. This is something that I still have to work at every single day, and it can be exhausting, and I'm sure there are times when I'm not realizing that I'm doing it. So it's important to know that this is something that is like a trained muscle, and it gets easier over time the more you do it. I think it's also important, at least it was for me, to set the right expectation with myself that this isn't something I do for 21 days and then I never talk negatively about myself again. It's a daily practice, and there are going to be days and situations where I'm harder on myself, and I have to really check in with myself around those times. The little ripple effects it has on the way I look at the rest of the day really has made a huge impact.
What are you doing to course correct?
If I can't find the words to feel better about myself, I'll just apologize for saying it to myself. Just saying, sorry, I didn't mean to go there. I'm moving on.
Yeah. Some things you can do to cut back on negative self-talk is try implementing some words of affirmation. It might feel weird in the beginning, so I liked to listen to podcasts or YouTube videos that just repeat words of affirmations to me. Then I can repeat them to myself, and the hard part is just doing it and doing it and doing it until it comes natural.
Or until you start believing it.
Yeah.
I would just say the ones out loud that I believed, and then over time I was saying more and more out loud.
Honestly, just becoming more observant of the things that you say to yourself and bringing self-awareness to the situation is a great first step.
Another way to start course correcting that negative self-talk is with implementing tip number 2, validating your feelings and giving yourself some grace.
This is a hard-ass thing we are going through, so it's okay to give yourself some grace. Acknowledging your feelings, giving them a name, allows you to work through them, process them, and release them, rather than harboring them and pushing them down for them to come up later.
This tip is harder than it sounds. For me, this meant acknowledging and validating that I was having feelings of resentment every time I saw a pregnancy announcement. And I didn't want to feel that. And so then feelings of guilt that I wasn't happy for them as much as I wanted to be started piling on to that. Finally, I had to validate that I was feeling this, acknowledge that I was envious, and just giving myself some grace. And what that looked like for me was snoozing my newsfeed of those who had announced they were pregnant. Although that was a super exciting time for them, seeing it was hurting me. So having the ability to just tell the social platforms, hey, these are my friends, but I kind of don't want to really see their content right now, was way more helpful than I realized. And usually that lasts for like 30 days, so you'll see your friend's stuff again. It's not permanent.
Sometimes it's not long enough. Although, when we're face to face with them, we can smile and be happy with them, but we don't have to see the daily reminders that just hurt our heart. So we need to give ourselves grace during this really difficult time. It's a hard thing to do, but we can do hard things.
And that starts with accepting that this process comes with lots of different feelings throughout it.
Sometimes I feel like there's a roadblock and we jump over one and we crawl around the next and we drive through the last one, and then there's like 10 more. I feel like I do not have control over my body and what I want to do. So tip number 3 is going to be reframing and doing some things that you can control.
Although we want to be our own advocates and take our health into our own hands, there's no denying that there are a lot of uncontrollable factors here, like ovulation and donors and shipping or health insurance issues.
Unforeseen complications. There's just piles of things we can't control. When you're feeling a loss of control, doing things that can make you feel in control is super helpful. To me, that would be like cleaning something or reorganizing my space. By doing that, I will feel like I did something that had an impact that I can visually see right away. And I know that seems so small, but in that moment, it takes you away from hyper focusing on what you can't control, gives you a minute to reframe and step back.
If you feel many times like we did, where every single aspect of our life felt out of control, then I found it really helpful to just look inward and what can I give myself that will help my mental well-being or my emotional well-being? What can I control? And maybe that's a distraction. So let me give myself the distraction of like watching a documentary or maybe reading a book or doing something, even a load of laundry. Like it's a mindless task that just gets me moving around. So just kind of getting creative with what you need can also help bring some control back into your life. This then brings us to tip number 4, physical activity.
It's no surprise to anyone that along this journey, we have allowed it to take over our physical selves. But in moving, exercising, walking, doing all of those things can help us reclaim our physical selves, but also they release endorphins. Endorphins are our feel-good chemicals. They help us boost our emotional well-being overall.
We like to go on nature walks, kayaking, or even going to the gym, just stuff to get us moving around.
Although it can be tough to work physical activity into your busy schedule, I encourage you to try and do what you can.
Even if it's just in 20 or 30-minute increments a few times a week, studies are showing how beneficial this is for your overall health.
So run, dance, walk, scream it out, anything to get you moving and just get rid of those yucky feelings.
And see if you notice any differences in your emotional well-being.
And this brings us to our last tip on how to love yourself through infertility. Number 5, do something for you.
I encourage everyone watching this right now to first recognize all that they've been through wherever they are on this path to conception, and treat yourself.
I like to get my nails done, buy a new plant, have a boozy brunch. Just a little indulging is always okay.
You don't have to spend a lot of money. We all know that you're doing enough of that already. But just find something small and significant that will just brighten up your day.
Doing a feel-good activity is a great reminder of who you are and the things you love. It can even give you the fuel to keep pushing through on this journey.
If nothing else, we are here to acknowledge all the work that you've put in to get yourself to this point right here. Whether it's day 1 or 101, we see you and we're rooting for you.
If there are any other things you have done to love yourself through infertility, please share with us in the comments below.
And if you found value in this content, please like and subscribe.
We'll see you soon.